Alright, so we got a couple of Racerstar stuff here. So here's a flight controller. These are 30 by 30, so you get some rubber grommets there for mounting and some wiring for connecting up to your different components. And this is the Air F7 Lite. So yeah, this is another F7. So you can see this is an F722. This is the bigger version. The F745 I showed you in the Beast is like that smaller version of the F7. But they're probably both going to have like 6 or 7 UARTs. This is a very thin board too, you can see here. Yeah, looks like this 2 voltage regulators. And probably, this one's probably for DJI, yeah, and DJI VTX. So I think, yeah, this one has no Betaflight OSD on here. So this one here is specifically for DJI only. You can use it for analog, but you're not going to get a OSD, which, you know, people are going to wonder about that, because I think I've heard of people buying this and they're for their analog builds, and they're like, hey, where's the OSD chip? Well, this is meant for DJI, and you can see it's got a Type-C USB port there. It's got 2 voltage regulators, and that's for this connector here for probably for 9 or 10 volts. And they have this space here probably for a crossfire receiver if you want to directly solder it with pins and make it nice and flat and compact. You put your receiver there. So there's that, and I'm probably going to do a build with this and then this Racerstar ESC. So this one, you can see the stuff that comes with some wiring, basic stuff, wiring loom. There's a capacitor there. I think there's a here's a description. 60 amp, well, 60 amp ESC bursting at 70, 3 to 8S, 24 grams. That's how much it weighs. Yeah, so 30 by 30 for both of these, and this one, I'm not sure what I'm going to put this in. Probably a 7-inch build. And it's just looking at the way these ESCs are laid out. I like the fact that the soldering pads for the motor wires are outside of the mounting holes for the board itself. So that means you can actually change a motor very easily instead of having to take the flight controller off. So if these solder pads are on the inside here, which typically happen on some ECs, I may show you later, then you have to take the flight controller off to access the solder pads. Sometimes it can be difficult. So I like the fact that they are putting the solder pads outside of the mounting holes so they're easily accessible. Alright, so moving on here, we got some new stuff from Foxeer. So Foxeer, they're generally known for making FPV cameras, but they are known also to make like HD cameras and some components as well, although their product line isn't, that extensive. So the F722 V2 is out. I think I've done the video on the V1. I'm not sure exactly what's different. This is definitely new. This is 4-in-1 ESC 32-bit Reaper Mini, and 3.6S, 45 amps bursting to 65. Kind of hard to see. Yeah, it looks like 45 amps bursting to 65, 32-bit for ESCs, and let's just see what we got here. So I think this is a 20 by 20. So there's the board. Box of stuff in here. It's probably your typical things that you would normally get. And you got your mounting grommets, wiring loom to your flight controller, capacitor, and your XT60. No XT30 in this one. This is a 20 by 20 board. It looks like M4 holes. Wow, I can't believe this is 45 amps bursting at 65 amps. It's kind of crazy for a 20 by 20. Nice big solder pads on the outside of the holes, which I like. Big pads for the power leads. So I think they're intending this to be used for, like a 5-inch. If you want to go with a smaller board, they have a wire, the connector here there for the wiring loom, but also solder pads for each of the individual connectors. You can see they're very tiny, so you probably want to use the connector there instead of there's all solder pads there. And it looks like there's a little bit of conformal coating on here, actually quite a bit. Like in the HAKRC boards, there's a little bit of conformal coating on theirs, but it's not quite as heavy as this one. This one's a little bit more liberal on their conformal coating. Obviously, if you get a little bit of water from like condensation on grass or something like that, it could cause the ESC to fry, so they try and protect it a little bit. A lot of capacitors there. Yeah, a lot to see. I'm gonna try and put this into like a Lite 5-inch, and then this is the 722 V2 Mini. There is a 722 V2 30x30, but again, this is a 20x20 board with the M4 holes for the rubber grommets. So you can have nice mounting. But yeah, I like this setup here. You're gonna see if you have this on a 20x20 setup here, your motor wires are very accessible. So this is probably targeting towards like racers, you know, that crash a lot, break a motor, they want to swap it out pretty easily, and it should be quite easy to do on this setup. Alright, so this is the Diatone F722 Mini MK3 stack, 40 amp ViFLY S ESCs. I think there's a version of the stack that comes with 32-bit ESC, so if you check the Diatone website, they'll probably show you different versions. Obviously, you know, the stacks that come in, you know, different flight controllers and different ESCs, but this is their stack that comes with these set of components here, the 40 amp ViFLY S ESCs plus the 722 flight controller. I think they have another version with the F405 flight controller. So yeah, I think there's different combinations you can get, but I like the fact that it comes with this new setup here where they put the rubber grommets and stuff and little mounting hardware on these little stands. And it's already, you know, kind of mounted to the screw, so kind of shows you this is how you should mount it on your frame. It's part of the case, and then this is the inside of the case. You get your connector there, and for your XD60 there, and capacitor. And this is a grounding shield. If you want to shield it from electrical noise from like a Vista, for example. So those are all included. Alright, so I'm not sure if I showed you guys these before. These are some stuff from HAKRC. This is a 30x30 board. Well, this one actually is a 30x30 board plus an ESC combo. Yeah, so got typical hardware there. I'll link this down in the description. I have no idea what this is exactly. I think this is an F4 board, F4 or 5 board, and ESC combo. Yeah, this is the F410. There's no markings in that one. So what's this one? Okay, so this is a all-in-one 20x20 flight controller, kind of like the Zeus from HAKRC. I think this is a Maytech F411 target. I like the fact that it's got bigger solder pads for the motor wires and everything, and of course the labeling is on the documentation here. It's not on the board. And here's what the other side looks like. Looks like it has 2 voltage regulators. You know, 10 volts there for probably for targeting Vista or DJI. And we got another 20x20 board here, stack, 4-in-1 ESC plus flight controller. And they put the sticker here on the flight controller instead of silk screening on the board itself. Type C connector there, so obviously they're DJI targeting DJI users here, and it has a 9-volt and a 5-volt regulator. It probably doesn't have a ViFLY OSD, and I don't know exactly what the model number is. This says F722DM. So I'll link this down in the description as well. You got some lost model alarms here. This is the ViFLY Finder Mini. So this one's smaller than your typical lost model alarm. So this is what they typically look like here, of course, with the battery. And the mini size is smaller, probably for your lighter builds like whoops and stuff like that. If you still want that ability to find your model in case you crash it, but you don't want the extra weight. So this is the mini version. This just came out. And then I don't know if I showed this one yet or not, but this is the Flywoo Finder Special Edition, and it comes with 2 buzzers, and you can separate them and put them on different parts of your quad. so that'll direct the sound in different directions. For like maybe like one of those 4-inch builds, maybe a little bit easier to find with this one. Alright, so we got a bunch of new flight controllers from Flywoo. This is their GOKU F745 series. So this is the F745 Evo all-in-one. So it's one of these, kind of like the HAKRC Zeus, with like basically it's like a 20x20 all-in-one board with the 4-in-1 EC and flight controller all on the same board. So it's an F745, MPU 6000. It's got the BMP 280 barometer. Comes with 7 hardware UARTs, so you shouldn't run out of those. 9 volts of BEC power on there, 1.5 amps, and a 5 volt 2 amp BEC, as well as a 3.3 volts half amp BEC. So you got a bunch of BECs on here. 40 amps, ViFLY 32 4-in-1 ESC on here. So this thing is fully loaded. This one does come with an analog video transmitter. It doesn't have a name. That's what it looks like here. You can see that it has holes for 20x20. Let's see, 16. Is it 16x16? And also 25x25. So it's got 3 different hole mounting options. I think this one is a 600 milliwatt video transmitter. See a name here, HM600 VTX. So a lot of power for a pretty thin, light video transmitter. And then this is the board itself. And it looks like it's oriented this way. This is the front. A lot of solder pads for stuff. Plus a connector here. You have this connector that goes on the side like that. This is for wiring up to a Vista. So you can basically solder this up to a Vista if you want to use that for the DJI controller, or you can wire up your receiver somewhere up here. The ESC or the motor wires go to the corners, so it's a really nice layout. You got your battery connector there, and then the bottom looks like mostly FETs on this side. Some capacitors, a few solder pads on the side here. I think those correspond to the connector there if you don't want to use the connector. But yeah, so it's pretty loaded, 40 amps. And it's going to go, I'm going to actually use this into a 5-inch build. You guys see later the new, oh my god, ultralight sub 250 build that's going to be coming up on the channel later. Okay, we got a new F745 Nano 13 amp stack, a 16x16 stack. So this is the one that's in the new V2 LR 4-inch Explorer. So this replaces the previous, I think it was an F4. Didn't have enough hardware UARTs, and this one has 7 hardware UARTs, MPU 6000 gyro, I2C connection for compass, 2 BMP 280 barometer. It's got a bunch of LEDs, black box data, 5 volt 2 amp EC. So ViFLY S ESCs are 13 amps. And it looks like, let's see, yeah, they still have the pins, unfortunately. You can see here, it's a very tiny 16x16 mounting pattern. Obviously the pads here, you're going to have to refer to the documentation for that, but this looks like an F411, no, it's F7, sorry, F745, and yeah, it's got the pins. They're super tiny though. So this is on the new, I'm going to probably be replacing the stack that's in the existing LR4 and then convert that to a V2. So if you get this, you can convert yours to V2. I think that is the only thing that's changed. And then this is the F745 for the hexacopter, the Hex Explorer. And I think the flight controller, I believe, is the same. So looks like the flight controller is the same F745. So this obviously still has the pins. And here's what the 6-in-1 ESC looks like. 13 amp 6-in-1. I think these are also a ViFLY S still. And then of course the flight controller is going to be the same. I think, yeah, this has LEDs as well. And the flight controller. So they must be these right here are the LEDs on the flight controller, on the sides, the corners, and then on the big one here, these are the LEDs here. So if you like the bling, they have these little LEDs pre-mounted into the boards.